Folks, I'm sure you were as shocked as I was to see the Hollywood Reporter coming out and saying that Boba Fett will appear in The Mandalorian Season 2. The man himself, who played Jango Fett in the prequels, is supposedly coming back and playing an older Boba Fett. Holly, do you recall his name?
Oh.
I can never remember this guy.
Tamira Morrison.
There it is.
Tamira Morrison. Which I didn't believe it at first. But then I saw the Hollywood Reporter and then every other credible entertainment, news source running with it. It seems real. Luke, I want to come to you first. I mean, I guess we're not so shocked that the Boba Fett himself is coming back. It seemed almost as if we saw him in the sewer drains there with the rest of the Mandos, at least the appearance is outlined. But are you shocked? Just outright? We'll get into more discussion, but were you surprised by this news?
No, I wasn't too surprised. I think there was so much expectation that we might eventually get to this point. I think a lot of people thought it might be a season finale kind of revelation to bring him back into the fold, which I was almost half expecting. I think we might have talked even like when we were doing episodes of the podcast around the time of the Mandalorian episodes coming out. You or I or Holly or somebody would maybe speculate like, oh, well, maybe Boba Fett will appear right at the end of the season here in some way. Yeah, because he's kind of the elephant in the room in certain ways with the show. But and then we got the Darksaber was kind of the big thing that took the place of anything like that. Yeah, which I was very satisfied with. So I didn't react too strongly to this. I think I reacted a lot more strongly to the news that Ahsoka would be appearing in the season 2 of the series. So I had a conversation with a good friend of mine last night, and he brought up something really interesting that I hadn't really thought of that I didn't think of immediately, because like you were saying, the reporting has been he's in the show, limited role, and he will be playing Boba Fett. Yeah. But I, talking with my friend, he was talking about how, well, Boba Fett is a clone of Jango Fett, and so are all the other clones from the Clone Wars. And who's a clone? Rex. So he could also, conceivably play Rex. And so to me, it would be really funny, and I would be almost more happy to have Rex in the show, as I would Boba Fett. So it'd be really funny to me if all these people are like, well, he must be Boba Fett. He must be Boba Fett. And then he's playing Rex. That would be really kind of funny to me if that's what it turned out to be. But that's contrary to what the reports are. The reports are he's playing Boba Fett. So I don't know.
That would be hysterical if they get the casting right, but they totally misplace the character. They're like, well, who else would he be? Obviously, the guy who fell in the Sarlacc pit. But yeah, you're right. Like, it could just be, which would make more sense, I would think, with which I guess Boba, the mystery of his survival or death in canon, it's been out there for a long time now, and people want answers. I honestly couldn't care less, to be honest. It never is something that I've really grappled with. But it would make much more sense if we're bringing Ahsoka into this, that Rex, too, would also be in it. But Holly, were you surprised to see that our friend may have actually escaped the Sarlacc full intact?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you can believe any deaths in Star Wars if you don't actually see confirmation that character has died. Yep. I think if there's one thing Star Wars has told us is don't trust the death. Yes. But I think a lot of people right now are speculating that Boba Fett is coming back as the, I guess, figure who walks up to Fennec Shan's body at the end of the Gunslinger episode. And apparently it's also been confirmed that Fennec Shand is coming back in season 2.
That's cool.
And so I think that people are, when I say confirmed, what I really mean is the internet says it's true. Yeah. And you guys know how I feel about relying on the internet if it doesn't come straight from Star Wars.
Yeah.
So who even actually knows? But that's the word on the street. And so I think people are thinking that it was Boba Fett who found her body and somehow maybe nurses her back to health, and then they come back for the child together or something.
Or maybe they're working together. Like maybe that they've been working together all along, and he's just like, well, you botched that one. Let's go get them together or something. Yeah, like I don't mind that, Luke. Do you buy it? I mean, he's a familiar, because that's the thing. We've been getting a lot of villains. Like, how many?
All of them.
They're all kind of villains, to be honest, if we're looking at good and evil.
Except for the child.
Well, that's true. Who knows?
Hera Kuvera would never.
He could be the ultimate villain.
Can you imagine an evil Yoda? Like, then at that point, he'd be a freaking gremlin.
His eyes just go yellow.
No. Bright light.
That might be a feature on the plush that I'm getting here soon.
You squeeze him and his eyes turn yellow and he shrivels up.
And his head spins. It's like The Exorcist.
No thanks.
That would be creepy. I'm down with that. But it makes sense, maybe, because we got a lot of villains. And it's, really not familiar people. So to bring someone like that back and place him in there and he knows all these other characters and almost validates them a little more as villains, which would be cool. But Luke, do you buy that? Could you see our old ironclad friend coming back and maybe being a friend of I don't remember the assassin's name. Hollywood, do you remember what her name was? The actual assassin?
Fennec Shan?
Fennec Shan.
Is that who I was?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's correct. Okay.
Yeah, that's who I said
Perfect.
He walks up to at the end of the Gunslinger episode.
Sorry, I couldn't remember
And then
the name.
she is apparently confirmed to be coming back in season 2.
Epic. Well, I'm down. So I'd like to see them pair up. That'd be kind of cool. But are you buying that, Luke? Could that be it? Or is he holding the key to something else, maybe about the child?
Well, I remember we all had, the internet broadly, fandom broadly, and even, the three of us had a lot of fun speculating after that episode. That was the only episode that I think ended in that way, with this like mysterious cliffhanger tease, and we kind of all expected it to be answered within the season. We spent time speculating who was it. We talked about Boba Fett. I think Boba Fett and Gideon or even Grief Karga were the three that we kind of said made the most sense. And then by the end of the season, I kind of lean more towards it being Gideon. Yeah. Because he comes in at the end of the season there, and to me that kind of made sense.
The cave.
But at the same time, now it seems like it just fits that it's Boba Fett now, if he's indeed going to be in the show. If what I'm left asking myself, or what influences my reaction to this news, is what does he add to this story, or how does he fit into this story? The news of Ahsoka made me excited, not just because I like her more than I like or care for Boba Fett, but because it makes sense to me that, think about what the Armorer told him at the end of season 1. Basically, your mission is to reunite the child with his people. That could be taken one of two ways. It could be whatever species that is. Are there more of them out there? I think I understood it more as just force wielders. You need to unite him with his force wielder people. He needs guidance from a force wielder. You need to help him seek that out. And so Ahsoka, to me, fits in there, that they start trying to track down a force wielder who can provide guidance, influence, help for Hera Kuvera. And so Ahsoka fits a story role there for me. When we already have Gideon and whatever kind of minions he can come up with, I don't know what Boba Fett adds as a villain necessarily. So that's what I'm left just kind of wondering, or kind of what tempers my reaction to this.
Yeah, I agree with Luke. That's like, Michael brought it up right before we started podcasting and was like, we're going to talk about this. And I was like, I don't really like that concept of him coming into the show, because I think the only reason, like the only purpose he would serve would just be to make all the people who were like, bring back Boba Fett, be like, yay, we have Boba Fett. And I just like, I don't want it to stall the storyline. I don't want it to take away from our Mandalorian. I don't want it, I get so worried that you start throwing in so many of these characters that it starts to like muddy up that storyline. And at the risk of sounding like C-3PO, like I trust the maker of the show, but like.
Oh, I thought we were getting spiritual there for a second. Holy cow.
Thank the maker.
Preach. Here's where I think there could be some hope, because you're right. Boba Fett was never one of my favorite characters. He looked cool and stuff, and he's collecting bounties. What gives me hope is that maybe they do something with him, kind of like they did with Maul, right? Maul was on a track to being the Emperor's, right hand man, and he had a story written for him. Well, that all came to a tragic end, and then he was forced to go in a completely different direction. So I can also see the same kind of happening for Boba Fett, being like, Jesus, I was in this Sarlacc pit, like the damn mucus of that thing, like melted all my clothes off. I pull myself out of here naked, and now I'm on a new mission to find, some other purpose in the galaxy, or maybe he gets right back into bounty hunting. I don't know, but it's crazy now, because that scene where I've always wanted, now if he is going to pull himself out of the Sarlacc pit, you just see a hand, right out of the sand. And I think that would be an epic way to start the freaking series. You know what I'm saying? Like the end of the first episode, just like they did with the child, is just like, what? I thought that would be at the end of the season. Put this at the beginning of the season, and then don't have him come back till the end. I think that would be epic. So I can see maybe if we're going to get a different story for Boba Fett, which I'll be honest, like in Legends, those are books I never read about Jango's return and what his purpose is then. I'm assuming it's pretty similar to what he was doing before, but Luke, I don't know if you read any of those old Boba Fett books when he survived, but could you see maybe he has some other purpose in life now? I'm not talking he's like some pastor out there, like a guardian of the wills, but something else. Maybe he is leading a syndicate of his own. I don't know.
Yeah, I read some of the old EU that involved Boba Fett and some of the other bounty hunters. I can't remember them very well, but I wondered how much they would even bother trying to explain his survival, or if it'd be just like, Emperor Palpatine in Rise of Skywalker. He's back. Don't worry about it. Like just deal with it. I kind of thought maybe they'll do that. Like, I don't know that they want to show that image that you're talking about. Maybe they do. I don't know. Yeah. But just based off of Palpatine, it's like, okay, whatever. He's back. I could see it going that way. So, and the way they're talking, and when we think about the other sort of supporting characters in the first season, most of them were only in one episode, and then they kind of did the whole reunion at the end where they all got kind of brought back together again. So the way it's being talked about and the way I'd expect based off the first season, he's not going to be in every episode, but maybe it'll be really short scenes where we see him a couple times throughout the season. Then there's something more significant towards the end, kind of like you were alluding to there, Michael. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could just have not like just a bare human hand like that would. Wait, who? Like coming out of the sand? Is it who? That could be anybody, but maybe like his gauntlet or whatever with the flamethrower. Like that would be kind of cool, and it's got colors. Like, and that's how the first episode ends. And you're like, wait a second, Boba Fett's out there scheming now. Like
you have to give us some more context though. Like he'd have to come up. Like the hand would have to come up. Like and throw a piece of the Sarlacc out or something.
Now that would be freaking sick, Holly. That's what I'm freaking talking about. Let's write this crap and send it to Lucasfilm, because you're right. Like like a tentacle he just throws down or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like you would need something like that.
Yeah, I'd be down.
And then maybe I would be sold.
Or like I haven't always wondered, but I'm sure some people have wondered, what's the inside of that that creature look like? Is it nice and homey? Like you're in there a long time decomposing, so like what's it like? Are people hanging out there? Oh yeah, here's this guy's new here, guys, he's about to be tortured. The whole group therapy, like people slowly die. I don't know, but who knows what we'll get.
Terrible.
Yeah, and I have a theory on the whole, the lukewarm reaction that we have had to this is, I think, down to a bit of a generational divide that we're on the slightly wrong side of. I'm not in to the action figure collecting thing, although I have a great shot of Michael right now that includes like I think an Ahsoka Black Series right over your shoulder.
Let's go.
I'm really enjoying right now, but
some of them have fallen, so I need to get in there and fix those. But yeah,
but I know one of the stories I always hear people of the slightly older generation of fans who are actually alive when the original trilogy first came out.
Yeah,
which we missed by a bit. They talk so much about the build up to Empire Strikes Back being so Boba Fett centric.
Yeah,
they were so, I think, proud of the character design, and he appeared in the holiday special in '79.
Yeah.
Including the great rifle that we now see in the Mandalorian. And so like he was such like think of the way like Maul's image led so much of the marketing for Phantom Menace. I think there was a big element of that with Empire Strikes Back, the great design of Boba Fett sort of leading a lot of the imagery that was put out there. And I think I hear so many of the fans of that generation talk about I think the mail away Boba Fett figure that I think you could order before the movie came out. You could get your hands on this figure of Boba Fett. So to me, I think so much of the connection to this character that gets a little bit lost on us, other than he's great in the movie. It's he's not a huge part of either Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi, but he's a significant part. Certainly plays a significant role in the actions he takes. So I think that's part of it. And so some people that had more of that experience I was just describing that we missed out on, might be screaming at their headphones now, listening to us be like, whatever, Boba Fett.
Yeah, that's true.
I was gonna say also, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't get me wrong, because you see the handle, everything is. Hey. I like Boba Fett. I like Boba Fett as a character. I have a Boba Fett handle. I have on almost all my social medias. I have a Boba Fett steering wheel cover.
You have a giant Boba Fett back tattoo.
It's a tramp stamp. There's a Boba Fett planter.
I can't believe you just said that. I love it. You gave me crap for saying what I said earlier. Go ahead.
There's a Boba Fett planter right behind Michael's head. Like, we're Boba Fett fans. We
Yes.
like Boba Fett.
Oh,
I personally,
God. Please don't put a review that this podcast hates Boba Fett. They hate the originals. Please don't.
No, I definitely don't have an issue with Boba Fett coming back in general. I think that my concern, like Luke has said, is just what would that do to the storyline?
Yeah, there's definitely storyline concerns there, but also for me, it's kind of strange because like what we were fed in the beginning is like Luke said, we're getting like the image of the Mandalorian looks exactly like, at least how we saw him in the beginning of season 1, looks pretty much exactly how Boba Fett looked in the holiday special.
Yeah.
It was an homage to that character with the rifle and all. And then you see IG-11, almost an exact, replication of IG-88. So to me, we were kind of moving on from those characters into newer characters, and I'm all for bringing him back. And if he serves a purpose, that's awesome. I want it to serve a purpose, because you could have just brought Maul back because he was cool and had he had a double-bladed lightsaber. Like,
I mean, it's true.
It is. You could do that, but like there was a purpose there, right? He became one of our favorite characters, the most dynamic and complex characters. Could we get that with Boba Fett? I don't think they're going to dedicate that much time like they did with Maul, but I just want it to serve a purpose, and I'm totally fine with it if it makes sense and he's hell-bent on, who knows, like finding Luke Skywalker. I don't know. I don't know. It'd be weird, but as long as there's a purpose there. And to me, it's just kind of like we were moving on from these. We're alluding to those characters and our new characters like IG-11, like the Mandalorian. So I don't know. For me, it's fine. I just want it to have a purpose. So